Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today we are kicking off our battling coverage of Regulation H. The Regulation H rule set was announced in the beginning of August, and it's one of the most interesting rule sets in competitive VGC because it bans all legendary, restricted, and paradox Pokemon, thus drastically decreasing the power level of the format and allowing for a lot more Pokemon to be viable. To kick off the format, I wanted to feature a really powerful team featuring Sinistcha. This team won one of the largest online grassroots tournaments in this format, actually the largest grassroots tournament of the format so far, with 450 players participating in it. It has two of the primary cores that you'll see in this format early on with Pelipper plus Archaludon, as well as Annihilape plus Maushold. Sinistcha is a really underrated Pokemon that completes the team. It's able to heal Annihilape and Archaludon after they have already boosted their stats multiple times, and just makes it so much more difficult for teams to deal with these very strong, bulky attackers. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down in the description below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, I'd really appreciate it if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's dive into things. If you're interested in trying out the team, the rental code is on the screen, and there is also an accompanying paste down in the description below. Like I mentioned, this team centers around two of the strongest cores in the format early on, which features Pelipper plus Archaludon as well as Maushold plus Annihilape. The idea is that Maushold can use speed up to quickly activate Annihilape's Rage Fist stacks. Pelipper, of course, sets up the rain for Archaludon, so you can just use Electro Shot to keep increasing your special attack and dealing more and more damage. Maushold and Archaludon is another combination that's really nice because you can go for beat up onto your own Archaludon to immediately activate stamina multiple times, thus making body press really powerful. You've got Incineroar as a classic support option and Sinistcha as the Pokemon to round out the team. Sinistcha, with that hospitality, can easily switch in and heal your Annihilape and Archaludon after they've taken a lot of damage, and the Sinistcha also has Life Dew, so it's really difficult to break through the defense that this team has to offer, and a well-timed Sinistcha switching can just single-handedly win you the game. For some quick context, the team that I'll be featuring today won a huge online grassroots tournament with 450 people participating in it. This was the largest Regulation H tournament to date. It was organized in the beginning of August when the rules were first announced by Himi Turner, who has been an amazing tournament organizer for the online grassroots scene. If you want to find more of those events, by the way, check out Limitless VGC, which I'll link down in the description below. What was really cool is, of course, the winning team had Sinistcha, and Sinistcha was number 42 in terms of usage. Only 18 people out of 450 used it, but of course it was able to win the entire tournament. So already to see Sinistcha claim a tournament when it's not very high usage, I think is really cool. If you want to check out all the open team sheets for the teams from this tournament, check out LabMouse, which is linked down in the description below as well. Has a ton of good data, and you can see all the different things that people decided to cook for this tournament. But of course, we'll be featuring the team that won the entire thing with Sinistcha, with that Maushold duo as well as Pelipper and Archaludon. Breaking down each individual Pokemon, the first one that I want to highlight is Sinistcha. Now, this team obviously features two of the obvious combos in this format in Maushold Annihilape and Pelipper and Archaludon, but Sinistcha is not very high in terms of usage rate right now. And I think it's a really underrated pick, and this team winning a huge tournament with Sinistcha showcases its potential. The idea behind Sinistcha is that Hospitality, its ability, is able to heal a quarter of your partner's Pokemon when you switch in. That's really nice because with this team, Annihilape and Archaludon will often stay on the field for a really long time, boosting their stats continuously, right? You've got Bulk Up to boost Annihilape's attack and defense. You've got the Electro Shot to boost Archaludon's special attack. You've got Stamina here, which you can increase through Maushold going for beat up or just taking a lot of attacks with Archaludon. And so Sinistcha is really nice because often you can go with Pelipper Archaludon lead, Maushold Annihilape lead, Maushold Archaludon lead, and then once you've set up your Pokemon and they've taken some damage, switch in Sinistcha, heal back a lot, and then just be disruptive. Sinistcha also has Life Dew here, which is able to heal both Sinistcha and your partner for a quarter of their HP, so you just have so much healing with this team. Normally when people stare down Archaludon, they're thinking, okay, all I need to do is just continue to whittle away at it, but a Sinistcha thrown onto this combo just makes it that much more deadly. The main combos to watch out for are Pelipper plus Archaludon. One of the cool things that I've noted, by the way, in this format is it seems like more people are using Stellar Terra on Pelipper, and the value of that is you can just go for a late game Stellar Terra, Weather Ball, or Hurricane and deal massive amounts of damage, which is really cool, and just get a one-hit knockout onto something that's normally easy to survive these attacks. Wide Guard is a general good utility move. You could have Tailwind on this set, and I actually sometimes find myself missing the speed control, but Protect obviously is just really valuable. Archaludon here is quite bulky, as you can see, with some speed investment as well, and it is Grass Terra. Grass Terra is really nice to deal with Amoonguss in particular because you can just make it useless, right? When you have Safety Goggles, Maushold, Archaludon, and Sinistcha, Amoonguss is going to have a really, really tough time. Grass Terra is also nice because you have Pelipper, so naturally you'll reduce the damage output of super effective and just fire type attacks in general. But if you go for Grass Terra and you've got Pelipper out, then fire type attacks suddenly are a lot less threatening. So Pelipper plus Archaludon is one of the natural combos with this team. You also have Maushold plus Archaludon, which is really cool. This one is kind of my third combo that I go with. When I go in team preview, I first start off, okay, do I want Pelipper Archaludon, Maushold Annihilape, or the third one, which is Maushold Archaludon? I don't think I bring it as frequently, but it's really valuable into teams that have a lot of physical attackers, right? Because you can go straight for beat up immediately to activate stamina and increase your defense to +4 right away. So against teams that have a lot of physical attackers, this can be a really nasty combination because suddenly they just already can't deal with Archaludon very easily, and your body press is just going to do so much damage right from turn 1. The final combo is Maushold plus Annihilape. This is a duel that was very popular when first introduced in Scarlet and Violet VGC, and it continues to be the case in this early Regulation H format. The idea, of course, is that Maushold can quickly stack up Rage Fist. Rage Fist's power increases by 50 every time you're hit, so of course when Maushold hits it 4 times, well, you just stack up really quickly and have a very scary Rage Fist immediately. The Annihilape here is really speedy and really bulky. It doesn't have much attack investment, and part of the reason for that is because you're normally going to be clicking bulk up at least once in a battle, and even a single bulk up really goes such a long way. Speed is really nice. I find that this gives you a big advantage when you're going up against opposing Maushold and Annihilapes, and in a lot of the matches I've found that I've been outspeeding the opposing Annihilape, which is really, really nice. Maushold here is also max speed, max HP, and you've got the friend guard with Safety Goggles. Safety Goggles and Taunt is just such a deadly combination against Amoonguss. Taunt is just such a valuable move against all the setup that exists in the format. If I see Trick Room on my opponent's team, I'm immediately thinking about how I can utilize Maushold as well. So this is one of the other combos that you can go with. And when you lead with this on turn 1, you can go, for example, Protect plus Bulk Up, use that Friend Guard to make Annihilate bulkier, get a Bulk Up immediately, and then go for turn 2 Beat Up into Rage Fist. If you're against things that can't take a stacked Rage Fist immediately, you can just go straight for Beat Up plus Rage Fist, for example. Against more setup oriented or Trick Room Pokemon, I'll consider Taunt into Bulk Up, for example. So a lot of different combos. And then the final Pokemon is just Incineroar, general good utility, Intimidate, Fake Out, Will-O-Wisp, Parting Shot, Knockoff, all that good stuff. Not much needs to be said about Incineroar. Of course, it can be led with something like Annihilape. You can just go straight for Fake Out into Bulk Up immediately, or Incineroar Archaludon, for example. I often like having Incineroar in the back because it's just really nice as a defensive switch-in after I'm able to get my Annihilape or Archaludon kind of rolling. But a lot of the damage from this team is going to come from Archaludon and Annihilape, so you want to make sure that you protect these two as much as possible. So yeah, that's it for a quick breakdown. So in terms of weaknesses, I think you can think about how to stop a lot of the potential duos on this team. So for example, with Maushold and Annihilape, if you're able to outspeed Maushold and get a one-hit knockout onto it before it gets beat up off, that's a really big deal. One way to do that is have a Tailwind user and then have something burst Maushold immediately. If you also have a redirection user, now Amoonguss isn't going to work obviously because of Safety Goggles, but something like Indeedee, a Follow Me user, that's a big deal. Rocky Helmet Indeedee, for example, complete nightmare for this duo to go up against because you pressure with Psychic damage onto Annihilape and the beat up will just make Maushold take damage and redirect it away from Annihilape. Normal type Pokemon in general are also valuable because Annihilape cannot go for the Rage Fist onto them, so Pokemon that are hybrid normal typing like Indeedee that I just mentioned, Furograph, for example, can be fairly annoying as well. Pokemon like a hit Annihilate for super effective damage and forcing a Terra out and then taking advantage of that Terra is also a big deal. I've had games where I feel compelled to Terra early, but suddenly once I water Terra, you're weak to, for example, Electric and Grass, and then you having opponents take advantage of that is a really big deal as well. So the first thing is, can you deny the beat up stacks? And to do that, you can use Redirection or just burst Maushold. And then the second is dealing with Annihilape, right? If you let Annihilape get too many bulk ups off, that can be really bad. So a lot of the times my opponents will be very smart in just overwhelming me with offense early on. For Pelipper and Archaludon, having Sun is really valuable, right? So whether it be manual Sun or something like Sun from Torkoal, that can be difficult for this duo, right? And I think like with Archaludon, you can only click one move at a time, right? So like Body Press isn't that powerful unless the defense has actually been stacked up. Draco Meteor, once you click, will put Archaludon in a pretty compromising spot. So if you can force those Dracos out early and like bait out a Draco and then switch into something, then they're going to be substantially weaker, right? If you're able to change the weather, then obviously Electro Shot obviously is not going to be as effective because they'll take an extra turn to charge. So yeah, I think like something like Sunny Day Whimsicott, for example, can be pretty scary for this duo to go up against as well. And then one other thing to think about is that this Sinistcha does not have Protect, right? And so you can often take advantage of the fact once it hits the field, knowing that you can launch attacks safely into this slot, right? And so Sinistcha here is a little bit more physically defensive, so taking advantage of its weaker special defense, that can be something that's valuable, right? Having something like a Choice Specs Pokemon that can threaten Sinistcha with super effective damage like Golden Go or Hydreigon, for example, can be really scary. And I think a lot of the games I've lost with this team are when I'm getting outsped, right? So if you have your Tailwind, if you have your Trick Room and you're able to like get rid of the support options really quickly, and suddenly it's like really difficult for Annihilape or Archaludon to just like knock out a lot of Pokemon in a short period of time, right? I also think with this team, naturally so much offense lies in Annihilape and Archaludon, so if you're able to like get a surprise knockout onto these when your opponent plays maybe a little bit more aggressively or they don't play as cautiously, getting a knockout onto just one of them immediately can be a really big deal, because then often you're surrounded with support pieces like Maushold, Sinistcha, and Incineroar, and these Pokemon aren't going to deal very much damage. So yeah. Alright, this looks like a fun mix of Pokemon. Baxcalibur, Talonflame, Rillaboom, Ursaluna Blood Moon, Corviknight, and Golden Go. Immediate impression is I think Pelipper Archaludon looks really solid here. Maushold Annihilape feels a little bit weaker because I have to call with Annihilape if they're going to switch. So for example, if they lead Golden Go and they switch into Ursaluna Blood Moon, that can be scary. They have no weather control, so Pelipper Archaludon means that we immediately have a lot of offense with this duo. So I think Pelipper Archaludon, Sinistcha for sure. And for the last one, Maushold gives me Friend Guard. Instinct gives me Knockoff into Golden Go and a Resistance. Could be Annihilape. Maushold I could use to beat up into Archaludon. Don't think the defense boosts are really that important. One thing to think is if I bring in Incineroar, they can reflect the Intimidate back to me. I lean towards Annihilape just because of its offensive matchup into my opponent's team here. Yeah. But I actually think any of the remaining three would be solid in this game, so we'll see. But I think Pelipper Archaludon feels like a really solid lead when your opponent does not have weather control and they don't have things that threaten Archaludon immediately. I guess the scariest lead for me to go into against would be Talonflame plus Ursaluna Blood Moon, because you can just Tailwind and then start dishing out a lot of damage. So then the question is whether or not they would Earth Power into Ursaluna. Yeah, if the Ursaluna would Earth Power into Archaludon. But they're going to go with Golden Go and Blood Moon. Okay. This is interesting. I think like Blood Moon is in a slightly tough spot. I'm actually leaning towards predicting that they Protect with it and Weather Ball and Electroshot into Golden Go. Because I think something like Protect Nasty Plot is pretty free for my opponent right now, but nope. Okay, they've got Thunderbolt here. They didn't Protect the Ursaluna, which I'm shocked by, or Terra. Yeah, the lack of Terra is really surprising, because I thought you definitely would want to respect me clicking Weather Ball into that slot, but I guess maybe they were thinking I didn't have Focus Sash on Pelipper. Either way, this ends up actually working out pretty well for my opponent, so not the best trade, because I'm probably getting hit by an Earth Power. Electroshot almost gets the one-hit knockout here, but we fall short. We take care of Golden Go now. Yep, and they Earth Power us. Okay, we survive, but just with the Sliver. Now you can bring out Talonflame for Tailwind, which is scary. Yeah. What's interesting with Talonflame is, do you go for Hyper Voice? Do you Earth Power? Do you Blood Moon? Because I'd like to Wide Guard here and Electroshot. See if they Earth Powered. Yep, so there's Tailwind. Nice. They Hyper Voice. Cool. Okay, big turn. I think basically it's scary there because, of course, you could go for the Earth Power, but if you Earth Power, then you just eat up Weather Ball. But yeah, I was surprised that they were willing to play so like loosely with Ursaluna on turn 1, so I figured they might get greedy here and try to Hyper Voice. So we get another knockout now onto Talonflame. We just wide guarded, so I could wide guard again. They bring in back Excalibur. Pretty easy to like Earth Power this and Icicle Crash or Glaive Rush into Pelipper. Terra Stellar. I can switch into Sinistcha right now to heal Archaludon. I want to switch in Sinistcha and like hope that they get greedy and Earth Power. Archaludon survives, and then I just get a knockout with Draco Meteor onto Excalibur. And I'm willing to do this because I don't really have another good Terra option at this point, I think. I could Terra the Annihilape. I think that would be the other reasonable option. But yeah, this allows me to survive Earth Power for sure. So I'm hoping that by having gone for Wide Guard last turn, now my opponent's a little bit nervous, and so they don't want to just click Hyper Voice once again. You could just Blood Moon here, right? But I was at such low HP. Is that something that you'd really want to go for? So this is a big turn. I think there is a chance I just lose both Mons here, but we could also win the game off this turn. Okay, they go for Glaive Rush, which I survive with 8 HP. Nice. But are they Hyper Voicing? Moonblast! What? I didn't even know that got access to Moonblast. Wow. But the Sinistcha healing was such a big deal here because we healed just enough so that I survived Glaive Rush. So you can see how big of a deal Sinistcha is. Perfect. Great. Now there's still 2 turns of Tailwind left. -1 special attack. You can obviously Hyper Voice if you're my opponent. I don't know if Hyper Voice would get the knockout though. I guess we should expect normal Terra on this. Normal Terra, Hyper Voice, then I'm left with Pelipper Archaludon, but then they could Blood Moon, which is scary. I think what I want to do is 2 turns of Rain left. We could still definitely lose this game, which is why I want to still be careful here. I think they should Hyper Voice here. I will Matcha Gotcha here and Body Press. Oh, okay. They just end up forfeiting. Maybe they don't have Hyper Voice. No, I mean, they have Hyper Voice. I was thinking maybe they're not normal Terra. Because they didn't Terra in that game, right? Yeah, they led Golden Go. Like, I think with normal Terra, you can at least go for Hyper Voice, get a double knockout. But then I'll bring out Pelipper plus the Annihilape. It was actually really important that I had Annihilape as the last one. And I think my opponent shouldn't have given up because they didn't know what my last one was. And if it was Maushold, for example, I still could have lost, right? But Sinistcha was so important in that game, being able to come out and give us the healing that we needed on the Archaludon. So that was awesome. We've got a really fun Rain team here. This reminds me a lot of the Regulation or Series 1 Rain teams that we saw at the San Diego Regional Championships with Pelipper, Golden Go Amoonguss, as well as Palafin. But this one has Incineroar and Hydreigon, which I think is really cool. So Archaludon, I think, naturally makes a lot of sense here, especially with Electro Shot and Grass Terra. Our own Pelipper is still decent offensively. I don't think I want to bring Incineroar into this one. I think Sinistcha makes sense. I think Maushold makes sense. Normally when I use this team, the first thing I kind of think through is, do I want to go with Maushold or Pelipper Archaludon? You can, of course, bring both combos, but then that means dropping Sinistcha, and Sinistcha is such a nice support option. I think there's also a world in which I can actually drop Pelipper, but I actually like Pelipper's offense a lot in this one. So for this game, I think I'm going to go with Pelipper Archaludon lead with Sinistcha in the back. Maushold is intriguing to me because it can go for Follow Me against the Amoonguss and redirect those spores away. I think I don't want to bring Incineroar, although the value of Incineroar is a Golden Go answer. Annihilape just doesn't contribute that much here unless they bring Incineroar from their end. So I'm going to bring Maushold on this one. It's kind of rare to bring Maushold, I would say, by itself when you use this team because it's so commonly paired with Annihilape. But in this case, like, I just don't love bringing Annihilape. That being said, I think Water Terra Annihilape actually is not bad in this matchup. But you do have to worry about a fair number of special attackers. I think like Hydreigon is a really big deal, especially if they have a defensive Terra. We can't Rage Fist it immediately either. You'll be able to resist it. And yeah, there you go. Pelipper Hydreigon immediately. Okay. So I think this lead is already interesting. Their Drizzle goes off first. So they could be timid. We pressure with Draco right now. I like the idea of switching into Maushold here to get Friend Guard online immediately, and then going straight for Electro Shot here onto the Pelipper. You can see Hydreigon protecting or going for a Terra right now, so I like the idea of just getting a special attack boost immediately. So let's pivot out. Okay, we bring in Mouse. Yep, here's the Terra immediately. Terra Hydreigon. Into Steel. Okay, cool. Now I can Body Press you. And Weather Ball you. Okay, they go for Earth Power. It's a lot of damage even with Friend Guard. Does give us a stamina boost though. I'm assuming they're Sash on Pelipper, but if not, this would be awesome. But I think if they weren't Sash, they probably would have protected or switched. But this is still fine, because next turn I can go for Follow Me into Body Press onto Hydreigon, or I can Terra the Archaludon. So, yep, indeed, is Sash on Pelipper. Okay. They're going to opt for Tailwind. Okay, Tailwind is fine. I think with this, I'm happy to just go for Follow Me into Body Press. I think the question I have is whether or not the Body Press is enough to actually knock out Hydreigon. If Hydreigon hangs on, then I'll be able to switch back into Sinistcha. And then we can go from there. I can also bring in Pelipper, obviously. And they actually protect with Pelipper, which is great. Like, I don't really care about Pelipper nearly as much since Archaludon walls it pretty well. So this is great because it means that your Earth Power, like, I was expecting Earth Power plus Hurricane or Weather Ball to just knock out Maushold, but now we survive, right? Which is a really big deal. That feels like Choice Specs damage to me, but I'm not 100% sure. Body Press does fail to get the KO, but that's fine. Now I can go for another Follow Me. They'll be stuck clicking Weather Ball or Hurricane, and I might as well go for Electro Shot here to get another special attack boost. This also covers for switch outs that they might want to consider. So yeah, I think my opponent had the opportunity to just attack with Pelipper, especially with Tailwind up, because at worst you would trade Maushold for Pelipper, and I think that's not a bad trade, but them protecting works out in our favor. And that feels like Choice Specs Hydreigon damage. I'm not 100% sure, but the fact it's doing over 50% to Maushold makes me think it is. But Sinistcha's kind of just waiting to come out right now, which is really nice. Now, one of the things we can do, of course, is just bring out Sinistcha and then go for Trick Room with it, or Terra, or Rage Powder, like a lot of options. But one of the things to think about here is that Pelipper from their end offensively is actually quite solid, because Hurricane is just good into Sinistcha. It's good into Grass Terra Archaludon as well. So Pelipper switches, which is fine by me. Cool. They're going to go out into Golden Go. Okay, that makes sense. So Maushold goes for another Follow Me. No Earth Power again. Cool. Mouse faints, but Archaludon now is at +2 special attack, +1 defense. I'll be able to bring in Sinistcha to heal it even further. But I do think that right now my opponent has the advantage because of speed. One thing I'm curious about is if I bring out that Sinistcha, does Golden go for Make It Rain? Because I think what I can do is actually Terra defensively with the Sinistcha and then set up Trick Room, and then I can spam Life do Electro Shot under Trick Room, which is pretty nice. So them prioritizing Pelipper and trying to protect it, I think, has worked out decently well for us because they're just not getting as much damage off. But yeah, I think here I want to go straight into Sinistcha and just heal up. And it's actually back Palafin. This is interesting. With Palafin returning to VGC, normally you want to lead it because then you're able to just pivot it out immediately. Now they bring out Palafin, but it's obviously going to be a little bit weaker. So I think I will go for the Terra with Sinistcha here. They've already committed Terra, so our Matcha Gotcha is also really strong. So let's Dark Terra, Trick Room, and Electro Shot. Yeah. And I like targeting the Golden Go here, because I think Palafin probably wants to consider switching or protecting. I think you actually have to switch here, otherwise you're just stuck with Palafin, which is not good. They're not going to switch. Interesting. Okay. I wonder if it's a flip turn then. But we are going to Dark Terra here. This, of course, is mainly to cover for Shadow Ball from their end. Does give rid of our grass typing though, so like Wave Crash would do more damage, but okay, Palafin goes for Haze. That makes sense. That's fine by me though. Yeah. Oh, they're goggles on Golden Go. What? That is interesting. Oh wait, they're not goggles. What am I saying? I didn't go for Rage Powder. I feel like when I have Sinistcha, I just click Rage Powder with it so much, so I was like so confused for a second, but yeah. Nice, we do so much damage. I was like, why would you run goggles on Golden Go? You have your ability. But yeah, now we get Trick Room up, which is perfect. They're leftovers on Golden Go, that's fine. Yeah, the Terra there was just a cover for Choice Specs Golden Go Shadow Ball into us. But now I can go for Life Dew, which is pretty sweet, and go for Electro Shot. I think I'm happy to target the Palafin slot here, especially with Life Dew support. I could see like one move my opponent might want to make is switch out Palafin and then protect Golden Go. So yeah, Palafin's going to pivot here. I also think I probably could have just gone Matcha Gotcha plus Electro Shot. That probably would have been fine too. But yeah, this works. Perfect. So now I get the healing onto Archaludon. Sweet. There's Life Dew. So the Haze from Palafin is cool. It's normally used, of course, to beat Dondozo, but of course my Archaludon was fairly boosted up throughout the course of this game, but I'm still able to spam Electro Shot, right? So you can see how good of a partner Sinistcha is. Okay. Pelipper faints. Perfect. You bring Palafin back out. Rain is also expiring, but I guess I have my own Pelipper in the back, which is kind of awkward, but it's fine. Now you bring out the... You bring out the Palafin. And we have a Sash Pelipper in the back as well, which is obviously quite good. Cool. Yeah, so I can just switch into my Pelipper now and go for Electro Shot onto Golden Go. Since Golden Go had already protected just now, we set up the Rain, and then like we'll have three things essentially to deal with Palafin, right? Matcha Gotcha alone does a lot of damage, and then Pelipper can just Hurricane that slot as well. Okay, they go for Jet Punch, but yeah, in the Rain, still not very much damage. That just activates Stamina. And we just get the KO with Electro Shock. Cool. I think the only thing I was worried about was like Golden Go going for a double protect and then the Palafin going for a Wave Crash into Archaludon, but I also figured like what are the odds they're going to make a play like that, right? Even if they make that play, if they don't get the double, they would just lose immediately. So yeah. I think Sinistcha was huge in this game. Archaludon, despite, you know, being hazed, was still able to do so much. And, like, we still end with +2 defense, +3 special attack despite the haze, right? Which is a testament to how difficult this Pokemon can be to deal with. And we were able to heal up with the Sinistcha as well as, or with Sinistcha's ability as well as through the Life Dew, which I think is really awesome. So, yeah, Archaludon, when supported with Sinistcha, I think is just a ridiculous combo. And there's a reason why this team was able to win that tournament. Ooh, this is a fun one. This team looks really strong. Incineroar, Mungus, Como, Golden Go, Porygon 2, Ursaluna. I feel like in terms of really strong early meta teams that I've seen, this one really sticks out. Like, there's a lot of things that have already been proven. For example, Porygon Ursaluna won the European International Championships. And that was in a format with even stronger Pokemon, right? So, this looks like a really scary team. I'm mainly thinking, like, Maushold Annihilape does feel quite powerful as a lead here with Sinistcha, and Pelipper offensively is actually not bad. Archaludon's also interesting. I just feel like Maushold Annihilape has a lot of pressure immediately into their team, and I like having Tauntaun Maushold into this composition. I guess I could go with Incineroar over Pelipper, but I think Pelipper with Hurricane is kind of sweet here. Like, we hit everything for really solid damage. So, yeah, let's try this out. I think it's a good sign that the team that we're using is so strong that I can consider both Pelipper Archaludon lead as well as Maushold plus Annihilape lead. Safety Goggles is a really big deal to deal with the Mungus. We've got Taunt. Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, Incineroar seems okay here because of Intimidate, but, like, Will-O-Wisp is not valuable really at all other than into Komo-O. And even though maybe we can get an Intimidate off into Ursaluna or knock off on a Porygon, I don't think there's enough utility for it relative to Pelipper, which just does so much guaranteed damage in this game, right? Like, Weather Ball pressure into Ursaluna, Hurricane into Amoonguss, Weather Ball into Golden Go even is a big deal. And then having Wide Guard as well can stop Make It Rain as well as Earthquake. Okay, it's going to be Porygon 2 and Amoonguss. That's fine by me. This is interesting, though, because we do have Taunt, right? So, I have Safety Goggles on this as well. So, for example, one pretty easy play to make is Taunt into Amoonguss and Bulk Up on turn 1. Yeah, I don't hate that. I think that's pretty safe. I think the main play I'd be worried about is if they went Protect Amoonguss Trick Room. But no Protect. Great. I also thought about just, like, Beat Up and Rage Fist immediately. But I think this is pretty safe, and with the Amoonguss staying in, now they're in a really tough spot going into next turn, because you probably want to just switch out into the Ursaluna, right? But I think Bulk Up in itself is such a good move here on our end. Could be a Golden Go switch in as well. I'm happy to Beat Up into Annihilape just to get that online. I'm thinking about just Drain Punching, but I think going for a second Bulk Up is fine. Like, we'll be coming out of the second turn with a +2 attack, +2 defense, and stacked up Rage Fist Annihilape, which I think is really strong. And I wasn't sure if +1 Drain Punch would KO Ursaluna. My guess is that it doesn't. So if it was like a guaranteed KO, I think it's worth going for. But since I don't think it'll KO, then I prefer not to. I think the main interesting thing will be if you switch into Ursaluna right now, do you Terra with it immediately the subsequent turn, right? Because you could Ghost Terra Ursaluna, but it's actually Porygon switching out. Okay. Ooh, that makes me think it might be Clear Smog Amoonguss. Oh, nope, just Pollen Puff. Okay, cool. Clear Smog Amoonguss is something people like using, of course, because of its matchup into Dondozo. And sometimes Amoonguss just drops Protect and you run Clear Smog, Pollen Puff, Spore, Rage Powder. But yeah, Maushold having Taunt was a really big deal here, and then just getting all the way to Bulk Up with Annihilape is a huge deal here as well, so we're in a pretty good spot right now, I would argue. Ursaluna's burnt now. I don't know, like, I could see them Ghost Terroring now. I'm just worried that they still randomly have Clear Smog. Basically, I could follow me here. Like, Ursaluna could Ghost Terra, Porygon could switch in. If I double Protect, it's fine, because then I could follow me. Okay, I don't mind double protecting this turn. The only scary thing about going for this is if Ursaluna has a setup move right now, but they're going to stay in with both. That's really interesting that they risked Drain Punch. Without, like, I thought surely they would at least Terra or switch something here. There is Clear Smog. Okay. Well, we're lucky they didn't go for that last turn. I'm surprised they didn't if they had it. Because, like, the Pollen Puff doesn't really move the needle very much. And they actually go for Earthquake, but that hurts themselves. So, yeah, we're in a really good spot right now, I think. Because what I can do this next turn, especially given that they're Clear Smog, I'm pretty sure Amoonguss doesn't have Protect, is I can just Rage Powder with Maushold to redirect any Spores away or Clear Smog, and then go for Rage Fist onto Amoonguss. If Amoonguss switches into Porygon, that's fine. Then you have Porygon and Ursaluna out on the field with Trick Room about to expire. But yeah, we're going to follow me here and Rage Fist. Ursaluna is so much less scary when you have something that has defense boosts, right? Like, Annihilape actually doesn't mind the Ursaluna very much right now. So, yeah, I'm liking our spot a lot. And Sinistcha hasn't even hit the field yet, right? Like, Sinistcha is going to be a huge assistance as well, being able to be immune to Facade as well as resisting the ground-type attacks from Ursaluna. So, if I'm my opponent, I think you should actually, like, consider making the read and switching Amoonguss out into Porygon, but that's a really difficult play to make, right? You might be tempted to just click, like, Clear Smog right now. So. Okay, they stay in. It's actually going to be a Terra coming out. So this is the Terra I was trying to bait out earlier. This should be Ghost Terra, right? Yeah, perfect. Now by going for this, I can just Rage Fist you, right? Like, we haven't actually attacked with Annihilape yet, but that's okay, because I've been trying to weather the early storm, right? Trying to see what resources my opponent has, trying to bait out a Terra, trying to stall out Trick Room, and now we have reached the inflection point where Annihilape can just knock out everything. So, yep. I think they would have been in a better spot if they had gone for that Clear Smog rather than Pollen Puff earlier. But yeah, you get the knockout onto Maushold now, but I just knock out Amoonguss, and I think Annihilape just gets to destroy everything now that it's all stacked up. So we'll Rage Fist here. Into Amoonguss, beautiful. Trick Room's about to expire as well. Ursaluna has the burn. And I think we can honestly just bring out Pelipper right now. Whatever their last one is, I can just double protect this next turn, stall out Trick Room, and then I just Rage Fist or Drain Punch. Ooh, Como comes out, okay. Como is actually kind of a wild card here because Iron Defense, Body Press stuff, but I think it's fine. Last turn of Trick Room. Stellar Pelipper actually is not a bad move at this point. I don't think I need to Terra Water this. And I don't think I need to Terra this either. So I'm actually down to go for Terra, Hurricane into Como, and Rage Fist into Ursaluna. Yeah, with us splitting at +2 defense, like, I think they just don't have enough offense to break through the Annihilape right now. And with them having committed Terra to Ursaluna as well, it just means I can Stellar Terra with low consequence here. Because the normal thing I'd be worried about is like Como going for a defensive Terra, right? But they can't do that anymore. So I'm liking our spot a lot right now. And even if they switch out the Ursaluna to Porygon to eat up Rage Fist, then you have Porygon out in the field and you're weak to Drain Punch, right? So yeah, this is why Safety Goggles is so important on Maushold though. Being able to redirect Spores away, for example, and then the Taunt also just makes things even easier, right? So we're gonna Terra. Okay, they Facade into Pelipper, that's fine. Brings us down to Sash. Okay. Yep, and now we're faster under Trick Room, Stellar Hurricane, super effective. This should just be a double KO. Beautiful. Okay. And now Rage Fist just knocks out the Ursaluna. Yeah, the big thing in this game was that Trick Room is set up, but Ursaluna didn't really put out that much pressure, right? Like, it got damage onto the things that weren't as important in this game. This is why having Sash on Pelipper was a really big deal and why I felt pretty safe about making that play. The only thing I was worried about from Como was like an Iron Defense Body Press set, but if you're going for Iron Defense, that means you're not attacking, right? Which means that you're not doubling up on Porygon to KO me. And if you're targeting Porygon, that means, or if you're targeting Pelipper, that means that you're not actually going for setup, which is a big deal. So now we can just Weather Ball and, not Rage Fist, Drain Punch. But yeah, I think in this game we just had a really good early lead, and Annihilape was just able to get fully activated, which felt really, really good. So, I mean, the two stars of this team, in my opinion, are the two offensive stars are Annihilape and Archaludon. Obviously, Sinistcha is really used to support them as much as possible. Sinistcha didn't really come out in this game because it wasn't necessary, but having it in the back meant that I had even more insurance into the Como, and as well as the Ursaluna, which I think is a big deal because those are their main offensive options on their side. All right, we've got a really interesting rain team here with Pelipper, Dragonite, Espathra, Smeargle, Archaludon, and Corviknight. So I think one of the things I've learned is in Archaludon versus Archaludon, it's really important to conserve yours and not lose too much health on it early. I think Maushold can be used to use Beat Up onto Archaludon here as well. And just get a bunch of stamina boosts early. I'm worried about Hypnosis Espathra, though, just in general. How do we feel about Annihilape as an offensive option here? It's also not bad. Especially because I think there's a good chance they bring Politoed. I might go Maushold, Annihilape, Sinistcha, Archaludon. And based on their lead, I can pressure either beat up into Annihilape or just beat up into Archaludon. The defense boosts in this game are fairly valuable. I think where it especially helps is dealing with their Archaludon, so that their body presses just do very little damage to us. Smeargle is Pathra, okay. I don't really know what to expect here. I mean, you could just like fake out Luminous Crash here. I would prefer to taunt Smeargle and switch into Archaludon. Terra comes out immediately. Interesting. Okay. Post Terra Smeargle. Dark Terra. Why are you Dark Terroring? Huh. Okay, well that's interesting. You fall for taunt. That's a crazy strat. They went for Dark Terra to just have a really strong foul play. What? Okay. That's a first. Moody gives him a defense boost. And a speed boost. There's been so many stat boosts just in one turn. Oh my gosh. Okay. I mean, what do I want to go for now? Follow me? I could also just activate our Archaludon's, like just get its defense pretty stacked up quickly. Beat up into body press. Okay, it's Pathra Calm Minds again. And they're just going to foul play again with Smeargle. This is fascinating. Problem is that we're obviously dealing with a special attacker in Espathra. I have Annihilape in the back. Smeargle's just stuck foul playing. Dark Terra foul play is wild. And they're gonna foul play again. Okay. The good thing is Sinistcha can obviously just switch in and heal up. Yeah, and it's not really doing that much damage anyway. But when does Espathra start attacking is the question. Defense boost again. Special defense drop. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to protect Maushold here. I guess I'm worried about because your taunt is about to wear off. I feel like I should just KO Smeargle. Beat up into you. Body press into Espathra. Okay, they're just Dazzling Gleam. That's fine. Smeargle faints. I feel like Dazzling was the best option I could have seen here for me because it's not nearly as offensive. Surprised I didn't go for something to just KO Maushold, but now we've gotten so many stamina boosts onto Archaludon. But we also do like no damage in return with that. As they continue to get speed boosts. I think Dark Terra Sinistcha might be in our future. Politoed comes out. Okay. This thing must be really defensive if it took body press that well. I mean, I know it has a defense boost, but I'm also at +6. I'm down to just protect this turn and body press. I guess I could also Electro Shot here into Politoed, right? I would think that would KO with them having blown their Terra. Okay, I'm down. Espathra protects, sure. It might be a double protect, though. Okay. No Protect on Politoed, sure. It's interesting because I feel like my opponent just gave up so many resources in the early game, like committing Dark Terra, even against Annihilape. I don't think that would have worked out that turn. So, yeah. Especially with Friend Guard. But this Politoad's... Oh, it just survives with 1 HP, it looks like. Wow. They're going to Icy Wind us here. Okay. That's okay. Another speed boost. I'm happy to switch out into Sinistcha, get some healing now. Get the knockout on a Politoad. I think it's just interesting because this Espathra's calm-minded, it's Dazzling Gleam, it's protected. Surely Luminous Crash is your last attack, right? But if that's the case, like, it can't really do very much into Archaludon right now, which is a big deal. So let's bring out Sinistcha and get the healing online. Nice. Okay, Poly protects now. That's a good protect. Luminous Crash, maybe? Oh! Stored power! Uh-oh. That's scary. Huh. Well, that makes a lot of sense as your final move. But I can Dark Terra to redirect stored power away. Oh, I have all these boosts, but I might actually have to give it up. Dark Terra. Rage Powder. Draco. Stored Power makes so much sense. I just had no idea what was going on with this Espathra set. It's a fascinating, fascinating team. They just got so many boosts, too. So there's Rage Powder. And they went for Gleam. And Icy Wind. Wow, what a call by them. It makes sense because it covers for Rage Powder from Sinistcha. Yeah, if you're going to go for Icy Wind as well. This was an insane combination. Like, so many surprises, yeah. I mean, Dazzle just KOs me now. I don't really... I think what we need to do is switch into Maushold. And Rage Fist. But yeah, I think... yeah, I was hoping to catch them off guard with the surprise of the Dark Terra, but they're just one step ahead of me in this one. And they just stored power this time. What a read. Wow. I think it was pretty safe to do... Well, it depends on what Politoed was going for. Okay, they had Weather Ball, so I think Weather Ball would have KO'd Sinistcha, but like, if we would have survived, I could have gone for Rage Powder plus Bulk Up, for example. Either way, this is one of the coolest strategies I've seen so far in this regulation. Like, didn't know what to expect from any of it, even with them committing Dark Terror onto the Smeargle, it totally worked out. So what would I have done differently? I guess bring Incineroar into this matchup, right? I just had no idea. Like, their team is pretty good for anti-Incin. Incin into this Espathra specifically is good because you're just immune to stored power, so all they can do is click Dazzling Gleam, and I can just knock them off in return, and I don't really care about the Calm Mind boosts. But yeah, I had no idea what to expect from Espathra. This is not like a traditional Espathra that you'd see in VGC either, like no Hypnosis, and so props to my opponent because that was really, really cool. Okay, we've got the team that Sempra used to get top 4 in the very same tournament that this team won. So there's Pelipper, Archaludon, Basculegion, Amoonguss, Kingambit, and Farigiraf. A lot of really powerful options here. Basculegion is something that's scary in particular. Choice Band, Water Terra, Wave Crash is just an absolute beast. And obviously you've got Last Respects as well. Swords Dance, Kingambit. Oh, it's actually not the exact same 6. That team didn't have Farigiraf. Yeah, that one had Incineroar, so it's close. But we don't really need to use too much priority, which is good. I think I want to go with... Like, I want to prioritize Archaludon for sure. It's interesting because we could go for beat up onto Archaludon, get our defense up really quickly, and then consider grass tearing Archaludon. I could also just consider Maushold plus Annihilape, but I think a Basculegion lead would cause me a lot of trouble. Yeah. Pelipper's actually not bad offensively. Archaludon. Maushold. Sinistcha. I'm gonna go Annihilape here. Basically, with this mode, I can enable both the Archaludon as well as the Annihilape, which I think is pretty cool. Right, I can go for beat up to just get my defense up quickly. I also like Maushold in this matchup because it has safety goggles and follow me, so it's going to be an important tool in dealing with Amoonguss. It's going to be King Gambit and Amoonguss. Okay. So, with this, we could Grass Terra immediately, Body Press, and beat up. I'm down for that. This just makes Amoonguss completely useless. Right, because I'll essentially have a Safety Goggles user, a Grass Terra, and a Sinistcha. So this would just get our defense up super quickly with Stamina. And getting our defense up like so quickly on turn 1 I think is a really big deal. Cool. We don't see a Protect, no Switch, no Terra. Getting it up is a really big deal because of the Basculegion that my opponent potentially has, right? So I think one of the fun things with this team is you have so many different modes with Maushold, and Maushold Annihilape is kind of the obvious one. But the downside is, if I had Annihilape here, I would have to go for Taunt first to deal with the Amoonguss. But yep, Body Press just eliminates the King Gambit, and Spore is not going to work onto either slot. Nice. Cool. I think the main thing that I'm curious about now is whether or not there's a clear Smog on that Amoonguss. As Pelipper comes out. With Clear Smog, you can obviously get rid of my boosts. It would make sense for them to just Protect right now onto the Pelipper. Part of me wants to just beat up an Electro Shot into Pelipper, because the defense boosts aren't that important actually right now. Beat up plus Electro Shot just breaks through Focus Sash on Pelipper. Yeah, we'll see if they have Clear Smog. Okay, so I'll just Electro Shot here and beat up. Nice, and they don't Protect or go for Rage Powder, so it's weird to see Maushold using beat up for something that's not boosting like your own power, but in this case it makes a lot of sense. Okay, they go for Hurricane here. Actually does pretty meaningful damage. It's going to give us another defense boost. Now we just KO Pelipper. Cool. And then, of course, one of the things I can do this next turn is just pivot out into Sinistcha to heal the Archaludon back up, which is awesome. Pelipper being faster here means we actually take some meaningful damage before I faint, though, but that's okay. 2 quick knockouts to start the game, which is obviously great. Oh, and they actually just go for Spore again. Okay, but we do have Safety Goggles Maushold. If you're playing against Maushold Annihilape, you should normally expect Safety Goggles. Cool, Archaludon comes out now. And this is why boosting our defense was so nice, because I can just Body Press into you now. So I'm happy to Body Press into Archaludon here. And I think we can just go for Follow Me safely this turn, as they still don't Terra. So yeah, we're able to just get so many super effective hits off in this game. And Amoonguss Rage Powders, but with Grass typing. Like, this is exactly why you want to run Grass Terra on Archaludon. Draco goes into Maushold. We survive that. Beautiful. Body Press on Archaludon. And that's a one-hit knockout. Oh, it's so satisfying to feature this combo. Couldn't have played out any better for us. Cool. Now we can just Draco into Amoonguss. Pivot out into Sinistcha. Heal back up. But yeah, I think this is why like a lot of really strong teams have good Amoonguss answers, right? Because you can actually take advantage of Amoonguss being out on the field and just make it feel really, really sad. Like, the only thing Amoonguss could have done was something like Pollen Puff or Clear Smog, but even if they had that, like, we're off to such an early start in this game, right? So, +1 Draco Meteor, almost just one-shots Amoonguss there. And we can just finish things off with the body press here. But yeah, I think like I was mainly prepared for Basket Legion in this game, which is why I wanted to go with Maushold. Plus the Archaludon, the idea behind Basket Legion was that normally you're choiced. So what I can do is protect Maushold and then just launch Electro Shot into Basket Legion immediately. So yeah. And they do have Rocky Helmet here on Amoonguss, so we have to be careful about, of course, clicking Beat Up into that slot. But in this game, I think, yeah, the Amoonguss basically was just a useless slot for my opponent because we had Grass Terra and Safety Goggles, and Archaludon was just so powerful. The Archaludon mirror can be pretty scary, right, when you're facing down an opposing Archaludon, but I figured, okay, if I have Friend Guard as well as Beat Up to increase my defense for a stronger body press plus Sinistcha to heal, I think the combination of that can be really tough for my opponent to break through. All right, this is really fun because it feels like a VGC 2012-2013 rain team. Like Porygon, Politoed, Kingdra, Scizor, Hitmontop was a very legitimate composition back in the day. Porygon, I guess you wouldn't see as much on those, but like the core of Politoed, Kingdra, Scizor, Hitmontop, it's giving big 2012-2013 vibes. And then there's just a Meganium going on there. I have no idea what that has to offer, but I think that's really cool. So here we could go with the rain mode, or we could go with Maushold Annihilape. Archaludon looks really solid here. I'm thinking Maushold Archaludon, Sinistcha Pelipper. Yeah, I think like body press Archaludon goes really, really hard in this one. And I think Pelipper is actually really good offense, right? Like a single Weather Ball does over 50% to a lot of their team. Hurricane does a lot of damage as well. I thought about Annihilape. I actually don't think Annihilape's a bad bring here either, but the Meganium has hit the field. I have no idea what this does, and I'm really excited to see. Okay. Oh boy. Well, I'm down to just body press Porygon. Beat Up to start. That feels fine. I just don't know what Meganium's going to do right now. I cannot remember the last time I fought against this Pokemon in competitive VGC. But that's the fun thing about a new format like this, right? People are just like able to try out so many different things, and with the format still being so new, there's so many viable things. And once again, don't discount the element of surprise. Okay, Porygon pivots out. Nice switch. Into Hitmontop. Okay. Yeah, this is just such a deadly way to start the game, since by increasing my defense, you already don't have that much offense, right? And like, I can just pivot Maushold out this next turn. So yeah, this team just does such a good job of enabling Archaludon. +4 defense immediately. Okay. Oh, it's going to be Leech Seed. Leech Seed is totally fine because, like, Archaludon just gets to snowball this game so quickly, and I can just heal back all the damage that you do to me anyway. Yeah. Cool. I would guess that they click Fake Out onto Archaludon. We've got Pelipper and Sinistcha in the back. Happy to just body press here. And taunt into Meganium. Okay, they go for Fake Out, so increasing our defense once again. Nice. We're gonna get Taunt off into Meganium. And they try to Reflect. Cool. Man, I wish Meganium were better. It's like wild to see how good some starter Pokemon are, like Rillaboom and Incineroar, and then the Gen 2 starters just kind of are sad. I'm happy to body press Hitmontop here, and then now switch out into Sinistcha. Get our healing onto Archaludon. The Porygon is basically not going to be very helpful for my opponent, so it's really down to the final Pokemon to deal with our Archaludon, but we can just Rage Powder away any damage, right? And with Meganium being taunted right now, it's in a really tough spot as well. So, yeah, this is just an Archaludon game. I think Maushold Annihilape also would have been okay here, but the downside is it actually takes a while to knock out Porygon, and with them having Reflect and Leech Seed, it's actually pretty annoying, but Archaludon here gets to get, like, boosted so much quicker, right? So Hospitality nearly brings us back to full HP. They go for Giga Drain. Cool. So it's Giga Drain, Leech Seed, Reflect on the Meganium. Body Press, Chaos Hit on top. Perfect. And like Archaludon loves going up against a passive Pokemon like Meganium, right? If I didn't have healing, it would actually be really annoying because you just slowly whittle away at my health. But with Machagacha, or not Machagacha, with our ability, with just so much healing with Life Dew as well, it's really tough to deal with. So Porygon comes out, gets a special attack boost. Still taunted for 1 turn. I'm happy to just body press Meganium here to respect like a Terra from Porygon. And I'm happy to go for Life Dew here as well. I think my opponent's best bet here would be a status condition from either Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, or Tri-Attack. Otherwise, Archaludon kind of just cleans up. So Meganium pivots, but I think like this is also a big risk because you're basically giving up whatever your final Pokemon is, right? And Scizor's... I mean, the reality is at this point, they have no way of dealing damage to Archaludon, but it is going to be a Terra. So I'm curious if it's Ghost Terra. That's like the one thing that I think can keep my opponent in the game right now with Ice Beam. And it is Ghost Terra. This is part of the reason why I wanted to body press Meganium, because we knew that that slot could not protect this turn and Taunt was about to wear off. And it was far more likely for Meganium to switch out, I think. Cool. So Life Dew, not exactly the most amount of recovery here, but now I can just keep body pressing what's next to the Porygon. It's gonna be Terra Blast, which is actually pretty cool. Ghost Terra and special attack boosted, so super effective. Gets the 1-hit knockout. Okay, nice. Well done. So nice burst of damage from my opponent there. Which does, of course, now mean that I don't have the healing that I once did. But that's okay. Now I can bring up Pelipper. Cool. With Pelipper out now, I'm happy to just Electro Shot into Porygon and Hurricane into Scizor. Yeah, the upside is now that we've baited out the Terra, like Hurricane onto Scizor, especially after they ate up all that body press damage, will either KO Scizor or do a lot of damage to Meganium, maybe even knock it out if it's were to switch in. So it'll take a little bit of time to knock out the Porygon, but that's okay because right now we just have so much offense, right? And Archaludon, once again, has this Assault Vest, so yeah, you can Terra Blast me, but then what? They do have Thunder, which is cool, but that's not a surprise to see given that they've got Politoed on their team. Cool. No Para. Nice. Meganium comes back out. I don't know how fast Meganium is. So I think it's probably smarter to switch Pelipper out into Maushold because I can late game Stellar Terra this. Meganium was outspeeding earlier. I don't know. I don't expect Body Press to KO, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to Body Press here and just switch into Maushold. Ghost Terra Blast was pretty cool. I think I was never going to anticipate that, but Sinistcha being able to survive that turn would have been big because I would have been able to keep pivoting it out and in. Yep, they just Giga Drain that slot. Cool. We get Body Press into Meganium. Nice. And they Trick Room. Works for me. The downside of them Trick Rooming means that now my Maushold, or sorry, my Archaludon just outspeeds your Meganium, right? So they still have a little bit of Leech Seed recovery, but that's fine. So it's Thunder, Trick Room, Terra Blast, and presumably Recover. So we can just Body Press now into Meganium and go for Follow Me with Maushold. And yeah, even with Ghost Terra, Terra Blast, and the special attack boost, you're not going to really break through Archaludon here. But one thing I have to be careful about in this game is just that so much of my offense comes from Archaludon, right? So if Archaludon faints, it's really, really bad. So I have to protect it as much as possible. But them setting up Trick Room actually kind of works against them right now. Yep, and the Terra Blast into us. Cool. I think you have to go for Terra Blast there because Thunder is never going to win you the game. You're just not going to win in the long run against Archaludon. So you might as well hope to deal damage. But yeah. Now we can just go for Electro Shot into Porygon and Follow Me. Hey, I gotta give my opponent props though. They definitely found a way to make Meganium work. Leech Seed, Giga Drain, Reflect. I think that's really cool to see. So Maushold goes for Follow Me. We're gonna Thunder now into it. 127 down to 25. Yep, we're bulky enough to survive. And we get another Electro Shot. But yeah, I think this was an ideal game for Archaludon because it can just keep spamming ways to boost its stats, which is really nice. Yeah, and look how much damage we're doing now. +2, +5 defense. This thing's just an absolute monster. So one more Electro Shot, one more Follow Me. Even if they had gone for Thunder instead of the Terra Blast earlier, yes, Maushold will faint, but then Porygon and Archaludon are both just out of the field, right? And then I could just go for like Weather Ball and Electro Shot. So they do have Recover, confirming their moveset of Recover, Thunder, Terra Blast, and Trick Room. So we'll go for another Electro Shot. Yeah, then that one gets the knockout. Cool. This game could have played out differently if Porygon actually just Terra'd on turn 1 of the game, but I think that's not, you know, the easiest play to go for, because would you really expect beat up Body Press on that slot right away? Probably not. But I think with the correlate they had, Hitmontop, Porygon, Meganium, Scizor, there wasn't too much immediate damage, right? The best damage they have is from Porygon if you get the special attack boost and then going for your Terra Blasts. But yeah, Archaludon, when it's not like immediately threatened by something that can do a ton of burst damage into it, it just really, really gets to thrive. Okay, this team has a lot of fun Pokemon. Skeledirge, Politoed, Kleavor, Farigiraf, Archaludon, and Hisuian Goodra. I think Maushold Annihilape is good here. I'm down for a Maushold Annihilape. Ooh, actually the downside of Maushold Annihilape is we can't really touch Farigiraf, right? But I guess I could probably just ignore the Farigiraf and target around it until the late game. So I'm thinking Maushold Annihilape, Archaludon plus Sinistcha. I think the main question I would have is with Farigiraf, what psychic type attacks are you running? I'm not sure what they have. But yeah, I think we can just straight up go for Beat Up and Rage Fist pretty early on in this battle. I don't really see too many ways I can deny it, which is good. Kleavor and Farigiraf, okay. Is there any downside to going for Water Terra with Annihilape? I guess I become weak to Thunder, or sorry, Electro Shot. But I'm kind of down to just beat up Terra. Rage Fist. I'm just going for this Terra because I want to cover for psychic type attacks from Farigiraf. Okay. And like, I'm willing to play the long game of Annihilape versus Farigiraf unless Farigiraf has like a nasty plot or something to boost its stats, because I can just switch in Sinistcha and heal back all the damage they do to us. So we're just going to start off with this combo. Ooh, Sashed? Okay, that's cool. We're going to X-Scissor us. Ooh, even with the crit, I didn't think that would KO, but wow. And they set up Trick Room. All right, we're in for an interesting match now. That's cool. Huh. Definitely not an ideal crit, because I would have had some pretty nice support for this next turn, but I think I can just bring in Sinistcha now. Cool. Hospitality not really important here. But more importantly, I now pressure with Machagacha, and I can go for Bulk Up. Cool to see Sash Kleavor, though. I was really wondering what the item would be on that, and it made all the difference, right? Imagine if Kleavor doesn't have the Sash, we just get the knockout there, Maushold's at full HP, and then we're up 4-3 with a boosted Annihilape, or a stacked Annihilape, I should say. Okay, they have Psychic Noise. That does stop the healing. That's actually a very good move to have. Okay, we get Machagacha off. Nice. Psychic Noise, a move that people started running on Farigiraf in the previous regulation with legendaries, because it would stop Drain Punch healing, for example, from Iron Hands, which was really big. It only lasts for 2 turns though, so I could just protect next turn, Psychic Noise wears off, and then I can just, for example, go for Life Dew to heal back up. So, not the end of the world. Skeleturge comes out. Okay. I wonder what it wants to go for. Terra here, maybe? Mainly worried about something like Specs. And I feel like they should Terra here. I want to personally pivot into Archaludon this turn and protect. And then switch Sinistcha back in next turn to heal all the way back to full HP. I just don't know what Skeleturge wants to go for right now. Should be a Terra, I would think, at the latest. Or at the least. Grass Terra. Okay, that's pretty standard on it. We'll protect. Yeah, they Psychic Noise. I mean, hey, if they have Terra Blast here, this gets really ugly. Oh, boy. Okay. Huh. Interesting. Well, you're probably going to be unaware. I think I give up the boosts here. So I can Draco Meteor Skeleturge and then switch out into Sinistcha here. But they could obviously read this and go for a fire type attack slot. I think this is a really big turn, and like my play is kind of obvious. So let's see if my opponent sees it. Nice light screen. Okay. And they Torch Song. Oh, that doesn't KO me though. Okay. Throat Spray. Wow. Not bad damage from Draco. That was an awesome turn. They completely read into my soul there. I think I will just go for another Draco here. And Machagacha. Psychic Noise KO Sinistcha. I mean, the problem here is I think they can just set up another Trick Room, right? Because they can just protect Skeleturge. Grass Terra Terra Blast was not a good set to run into. And the fact they had Light Screen on Farigiraf means that they can actually stop my Dracos. Gives us a stamina boost. Ah, yeah. It's not a 2-hit knockout. They had so many small things here that just added up to be such a difference maker. But the key turn in this game, in my opinion, was them making the hard read and just going for Light Screen and Torch Song. If I just stayed in with Annihilape and went for Rage Fist and switching to Sinistcha there, that would have been like a game-winning play. But given what they had revealed, like I wasn't going to expect Light Screen, right? I think Light Screen was a big needle mover here as well. I mean, I could make the read that Skeleturge protects here, double up onto Farigiraf. Or I could hope that they don't have Protect for some reason. Because the problem is I don't even think +1 Body Press and Drain Punch KOs for Farigiraf. Yeah. I just can't see you not having Protect on Skeleturge and going for it right now. Okay. Yeah, they have it. Wow. I really did not expect this team to give me as much trouble as it did, but I mean, I think getting crit on turn 1 obviously was not ideal because it prevented Friend Guard and redirection support, which was really big for us here. Yeah, Drain Punch definitely would not have KO'd there. I guess we could still win here if, like, maybe I could have gone for bulk up that turn, honestly, since it was so obvious they were going to protect. Yeah. Like, if you're my opponent, I think you should always be Torch Songing Archaludon. So I could Body Press Skeleturge and Drain Punch it. Yeah, they Psychic Noise. Psychic Noise, them having that's also such a big deal because like not getting the leftovers and Drain Punch healing is so bad. So yeah, a lot of really cool small techs that added up in this game. And it's awesome to see a team with Cleaver and Skeledirge succeed, so props to my opponent. I should have thought about that. That should have been Rage Fist. I don't actually think it makes a difference because even if we KO'd Skeledirge, like Annihilape just loses to whatever their final one is, but yeah. Not only does it deny healing, it denies you from going for moves that allow you to heal. So even though we're not playing Reg G anymore, folks, Psychic Noise is still a good move. And yeah, I mean, Grass Terra Terra Blast was not something I'd anticipated either, but it was so strong for my opponent here once I had Water Terra'd. So yeah, in best of one, anything can happen. And I think my opponent had a lot of crazy surprises, right? Focus Sash on the Cleaver, the Light Screen on Farigiraf, Grass Terra, and Throat Spray on the Skeledirge. So if I were to play this again, I guess, like, because Farigiraf walls Annihilape so much, maybe I should just lean into Pelipper and Archaludon a little bit more, right? Because I have the Focus Sash, and I can just go for Electro Shots plus Weather Ball immediately. I figured in this game I could go with Annihilape and just target around the Farigiraf, but the downside with that is when they set up Trick Room, and they, like, them having Sash to safely set up Trick Room, and then getting their attacker out, and then the Skeledirge being Grass Terra Terra Blast as well. So, yeah. So I've definitely fought against this team before. I wonder if it's a rental running around right now, but basically it's Sunny Day Whimsicott with Specs Typhlosion with Eruption. Or is it Scarf Typhlosion? Ursaluna Blood Moon, Gambit. And I think the combination of Whimsicott, Typhlosion, and Ursaluna is actually really difficult to deal with. Because you can just Sunny Day immediately, which is tough. And I do have Wide Guard on Pelipper. Normally what I do against this team is Maushold Annihilape lead, where I Water Terra, Protect with Maushold, and then go for Rage Fist to just get rid of the Typhlosion. So these two. And then normally I go Sinistcha in the back. I think Pelipper Archaludon back two could work as well. But I'm going to go Sinistcha Pelipper. One of the interesting things in this matchup that we can consider is setting up our own Trick Room to counteract the Tailwind that we think they'll want to set up. So let's see. But I think, yeah, like normally what ends up playing out is Whimsicott Typhlosion lead. So I'm curious if my opponent also finds that. Yep. So like I said, I've fought against this team probably like 3 times already when just playing the format to begin with and getting acclimated with it. So Protect, Terra, Rage Fist. The problem is then weathering the turn afterwards, because then like you can just Tailwind. Oh, are they tearing here? Interesting. Okay, that changes how this plays out as well, because it means I don't knock you out. But that's not actually necessarily a bad thing, because if you go for Sunny Day, Eruption, you just take so much damage, where in next turn, you're substantially weakened with Typhlosion, because you're choiced. Okay, I actually don't mind the Terra there too much. But yeah, it's cool. I think like this is one of the best formats for Typhlosion. Like Eruption is just so powerful. Yep. So Sunny Day, Fire Terra boosted, Eruption coming out now. It's one strong attack. It's a lot of damage. Now we get Rage Fist, but no longer super effective. Oh, I didn't want that crit. Because they're choice, like, the Typhlosion would be stuck on the field at relatively low HP, so then the next turn's Eruption is a lot weaker. So I actually would have preferred for them to survive that turn, but okay. I mean, I can't complain. Like, it's not necessarily a bad crit, but I actually think it would have made things a little bit easier, because I could have ignored that slot, basically, after this turn. Yeah, the problem is now they can just bring out Ursaluna, right? Can switch in Sinistcha to heal and then protect. But then I'm at risk of getting Encored. I think I prefer going for Follow Me here. And Drain Punching. I think with Friend Guard and lack of normal Terra on Ursaluna, I should survive Hyper Voice. But yeah, this was one of those interesting situations where, like, I actually didn't just outwardly want the crit, especially because, like, one of my goals is to stall out Tailwind a little bit. But, yep, there's Encore. That's why I don't want to be... Like, that's why I feel forced to click Follow Me. We get Drain Punch off. I guess, notably, they didn't Tailwind yet, so... We heal back a lot. Blood Moon or Hyper Voice? Okay, Hyper Voice. 159 down to 92. Cool. So we heal back up. Their last one's going to be Tauros, Gambit, Maushold. I think I'm happy going for just Follow Me here and Drain Punch. They can Tailwind Hyper Voice, which I'm fine with. Their best play here would honestly be to protect with the Ursaluna and then like Moonblast, but looks like they're just going to attack, which I'm fine with. Yeah, so Tailwind finally comes out. Annihilape's eaten up a bunch of attacks, right? Oh, they go for Blood Moon. Okay, cool. I respect the Blood Moon option. I think the idea of going for that is if I get greedy and for some reason don't go for Follow Me, then you can just knock out Annihilape, but I think I'm always clicking Follow Me there. So this is big. Especially because I don't think whatever their final Pokemon is can handle Annihilape once I heal back with Sinistcha as well, right? Like, look how much recovery I'm about to get. I have the Drain Punch recovery, I have the Leftovers recovery, and now I get to switch it into Sinistcha as well. So... Annihilape is a Pokemon that can go from, you know, under 50% to basically near full health in the span of one turn, which is awesome. We've also seen Encore, Tailwind from Sunny Day, and should be like Moonblast. Their last one's King Gambit, which is perfect to see here, as they've already committed Terra, so the Annihilape kind of just crushes the Gambit slot. Perfect. Here I'm happy to just Rage Powder to redirect a potential, like, Kowtow Cleave or Sucker Punch away, and then just Drain Punch into Gambit. I think that should be pretty safe. And then Annihilape will win 1v1 against Whimsicott. Okay, they go for Moonblast, which is fine. And we're actually just faster than Gambit, even with Tailwind, which is awesome. So that just gets the KO. Perfect. But yeah, Sinistcha was really nice to have here in the back because essentially, even if they had gone for Hyper Voice, I would have been able to heal back up enough where like a Moonblast doesn't KO me, right? So now we can just go for no point in Rage Powdering, Machagacha, and Rage Fist onto Whimsicott. But yeah, having played this matchup a bunch, like I don't know if this is a rental team that's running around right now. The key thing that I think is surviving the early game against Typhlosion and them committing their Terra to Typhlosion and not having the Terra with the Blood Moon was a really big deal. I think like Blood Moon with Terra in the back is actually really scary and you don't necessarily need to Terra Typhlosion, but I get it, right? When you have like Specs and Fire Terra, I think it's Specs on that team, but Specs Fire Terra, it's just so explosive when you have Sunny Day as well. So, and if I didn't have Water Terra and Annihilape, obviously I would have just fainted there, right? So I can see what they were going for. But having played that matchup a bunch, this is kind of the go-to that I have. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, so hopefully you enjoyed our first batch of games in the Regulation H format. Can't wait to dive into this format with all of you more, and so cool to start things off with a team that won such a big tournament with a lot of fun combinations. So thanks as always for joining me. My name is Aaron CybertronZang. If you enjoyed, would really appreciate if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.